What is up, guys? Welcome into a brand new video. Now today we are going to be looking at the Cricket 24 Australia player ratings. Now this is obviously what I believe should be the correct ratings for the entire Australia squad. Mostly the test team, but I have thrown a few ODI and T20 players, kind of some of the big names, some of the ones that are just kind of on the edge I haven't included, but you'll see who we have. Before we get into it, if you guys could leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, it does massively help out the channel. And for our first player, a rather controversial one, is going to be David Warner. Hasn't been in the best of form. I haven't really gone with that. I've kind of gone with what he was like, not his best, but kind of somewhere in between. His current form is like a 60. His probably best form was probably around an 86. So I've gone with an 83 for David Warner. I think that's fair. I don't think there's anything wrong with 83. I think that's almost probably a little bit too generous. In the form that it is. You have got to remember that Big Ant are a Australian company, so they are going to kind of benefit Australia a little bit more than they would for some of the other nations. Next on the list, Usman Khawaja, probably one of the best openers in the world at the moment, and I've gone for an 85 for Usman Khawaja. As I said, one of the best openers in the world. You can't really go wrong with what form he's in at the moment. So I think an 85 is a little bit, is probably fair. Maybe a little bit too high. Maybe an 84 would be there or thereabouts. But I think an 85 in this instance is going to be okay. Next, again, the ICC test batsman, top of the world, you name it, whatever you want to call it. I've gone for an 87 for Marnus. Again, he, being the best batsman in the world, kind of puts him on the same level as a Kane Williamson, a Joe Root, a Steve Smith. I probably have them slightly below where they are at the moment, but for me, Marnus goes in and is an 87 rated card. Steve Smith, some say is the best batsman in the world and one of the best that Australia have ever had, and I've given him an 89 too. I have put him one rating higher than Joe Root this time. As an Englishman, I don't know how I feel about that, but there is no denying that Steve Smith is a really good player and probably one of the best in the world. And with a little bit of Big Ant bias in there, I've given him an 89 rated card. Moving on to Travis Head, someone I really don't rate very much. I know he gets a lot higher. He's the 5th best test batsman in the world or whatever it is at the moment. I think that's just playing on home tracks and things like that. So I've given Travis Head an 83 rated card, same as what David Warner is at the moment. If it was me in my heart of heart giving this would be like an 80 or 81. But I think they're going to push him up a little bit more. An 83 I think is very generous for Travis Head. Cameron Green, a very young player, only did 23, 24, whatever he is now. I've given him an 82 rated card. It could be higher. I mean, there's probably some people that would want him to be like an 86 rated card. I don't think he's on that level yet. I don't think he's anywhere near it. Just with one test century, one test fifer. I think he's average with the ball. He's average with the bat. I think his ceiling's really high. But I don't think he's quite there yet. Maybe in cricket 25, 26 or whatever it's going to be by the time the next one comes around, he will be the 86, 87 rated card. Next one is Alex Carey. Now, probably the second best wicketkeeper in the Ashes, next to Ben Foakes. Alex Carey, 77, average with the gloves, average with a bat. I think 77's fair. I can't see it being any higher than that. There's nothing to write home about Alex Carey. He does a decent job, and 77 rated is pretty fair from where I'm looking. Next on the list is going to be Australia's captain. Yeah, I mean, you could say he's an all-rounder, but he's probably a bowler that can bat a bit, and I've given him an 87 rated card. One of the best quick bowlers in the world. Around, I think it was about the same as what I gave Jimmy Anderson. I think I gave Jimmy Anderson an 87. I'd say they're both on par. If I had to have one in my team, I'd probably go, depends on the conditions, but I'd probably go Jimmy Anderson over Pat Cummins. But I have given him the same rating in this one. Next is Mitchell Starc. We'll definitely play in the Ashes. I think we'll play quite a big role in the Ashes coming up. I've given him an 83 rated card. Again, he's probably in there with the kind of Hazlewoods as kind of being just that tier below Pat Cummins, but still a great bowler. Still taking some iconic wickets. And again, it can bowl 90 plus mile an hour, so that's always what you want. And also that left arm over the wicket to the right-hander is always going to bring something a bit different. So 83, I think, is fair. Nathan Lyon, now probably the only world-class spinner that's going to be at the Ashes, unless we play Rian Ahmed. I've given Lyon an 83 as well. With the Australian bowling attack, I think they're all relatively on the same level. But I think Pat Cummins is just that step above. Lyon, not coming towards the end of his career, but he's aging slightly. I don't think he's bowled as well as he has in the past. I mean, I know he had a good series in India eventually, but it was in India and they were terrible pitches and really favoured the spin. So you expect him to take wickets there. So I've gone 83 with Lyon. Josh Hazlewood is next and rounded out the Test 11. For Hazlewood, I have gone with an 83 rated card. Same as Starc, same as Lyon. I think they're all on about that same level. Hazlewood's probably the best T20 bowler out of the lot of them because he's put a little bit more work into that. But I think because he's put work into his white ball bowling, his red ball bowling has got a little bit worse. So 83 for Hazlewood. Scott Boland is my next pick. For me, Scott Boland is a very overrated player. I don't think many Australians would know who he was if he didn't take 6 wickets in that Ashes series against an absolutely god-awful England team. I think he's lucky if he plays a game in the summer. But I have given Scott Boland an 80 rating. I would like that to probably be a little bit lower, but I think the kind of the mystery and the hype around him is going to push him up a couple of ratings. He hasn't got the experience. He's accurate, but he doesn't swing the ball a lot. It's more kind of accuracy. There's no real pace behind him. He's a decent shield bowler. Neser is next for Neser's rating. I've gone with a 79. I'd actually prefer, especially in English conditions, Neser over Boland because I think Neser's... I mean, look at what Neser's doing in the county championship at the moment, taking a hat-trick just last week. He's playing out of his skin at the moment. Some of those deliveries that he got to get those hat-trick, those horrible in-swingers just taking off peg when they're leaving it outside off. It's ridiculous. So I think he could play in England. I think if you want to rotate the bowlers, because there's 5 tests in 6 weeks, I think Neser should be the one you go to rather than Boland. Todd Murphy is now the next one. Another test player for Australia. Played a lot in India. Again, I can't see him playing at all in England. I think he was lucky on his debut and then kind of got found out a bit towards the end of that India series. I've given Todd Murphy a 73 rated silver card. He could be good. He's still young, but I don't see him any different to a Jack Leach or a Dom Bess or someone like that. Just kind of bang average off spin, really. Glenn Maxwell is going to be the next one and probably the first of the kind of T20 ODI white ball players that we've got on this list. Giving him an 83 rated card. This could be higher, it could be lower. It depends what Maxwell turns up on the day. Sometimes you can see him playing like he's a 90 rated player and sometimes you can see him playing like he's a 60 rated player. He is slightly hit or miss. I have got him at 83. I think that's around the kind of middle mark that I've got for most of the Australian players that are kind of in that top level that you could talk about and being kind of top 20 in what they do. Mitch Marsh is next on my list, and I have got him as an 81 overall. Doesn't really get a look in the test side. I know he's coming over in England. I don't know if they're going to try and counter the Bazball, if that's just a bit of mind games, or if he's just kind of a cheerleader coming on the trip. I would like to say that Mitch Marsh is going to be a bit of a cheerleader coming over in England. I can't see him playing a game, especially not over Cam Green as their other all-rounder. I can't see him playing 2 all-rounders. If maybe they push him to 5 and you have head open, that could work. But I don't think he offers a load in England with the ball. Stoinis is going to be our next player to look at. Again, very similar to Maxwell, I feel could be really hit or miss. Probably the more aggressive with the bat than Maxwell is. Stoinis is probably just more power than Maxwell is, but I do see him as relatively similar players. And I've got him with an 82 overall. Again, him and Maxwell, you could chop and change. I just think Maxwell on his day is slightly better than Stoinis, so that's why I've given Stoinis an 82. And the next one on our list is going to be Adam Zampa, one of the best probably white ball spinners at the moment. I've given him an 84 rated card just because he is that. He is one of the best white ball spinners in the world. It does pay me to say on a similar level to a Adil Rashid or a Rashid Khan. I'd probably have Rashid Khan and then Adil Rashid and Adam Zampa. I think Rashid Khan's probably on that upper echelon above Adam Zampa, but I think 84 is going to be fair. Guys, that's going to be it for today's video of doing the Cricket 24 Australia player ratings. Hope you enjoyed. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of these ratings. Who do you want me to do next? Might be India, might be Pakistan, might be West Indies. Let us know down in the comments. I would like to know what ones you'd like to see next. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.